Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Post-Conference Presser for Anfield Index. In just under 24 hours, the Reds head to the G-Tech Stadium, don't they, to face Brentford away. And you don't need me to tell you, it is an absolutely massive game. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the answers Arne Slot gave to the questions posed from his press conference. We'll have a bit of an injury news update, and it's not what we want. So if you've not heard it already, brace yourselves. We'll be looking back to that Forest game, the lessons we can learn, and how we didn't walk away with 3 points is anyone's guess. We'll look at Brentford's threats, and there are quite a few, so we need to brace ourselves for that. And we'll talk about their lineup, score, and scorers as ever. I'm your normal host, ladies and gents, Dave Davis, coming to you from a dark, cold, but not that dramatic Edinburgh. It's just one of those standard sort of winter days. Hopefully it's better where you are. So let's get into it, people, straight away. The questions Arne Slot was asked, the answers that he gave at the same time. Now, Diogo Jota was asked about first. Brace yourselves a little bit. So the first thing he was asked, he wasn't in the training photos yesterday. Where is Diogo Jota? Is he available? Because he's an important player for you. Arne Slot said, there's no doubt he's an important player for us. He wasn't on the training ground yesterday. We have to see today where he's not sure he'll be available tomorrow. We have to wait and see. He felt a little niggle when he came on during that half hour. He couldn't finish the game, but afterwards he complained. That's why yesterday he didn't train. We have to see if he's available today or tomorrow. And then there was a kind of a follow-up later on about it, saying, is there any real further update? And he said, can he be available? It's going to be a struggle to get him on the pitch. Is it up how we feel about this one? Maybe it's better just to express it by noise. Oh, Jota. Yeah. I mean, of all the forwards to get injured at the moment, the one who's scoring goals, the one who got the important one against Fulham for the equaliser, the one who got the equaliser last night, you were already in your mind, don't lie, thinking, thank God we can abandon this false nine thing. Diogo Jota's going to go in against Brentford. Got a good record there. Great. Not so great, though. I mean, it seems pretty much barring a miracle, Diogo Jota is not going to be playing against Brentford, which is not what we wanted, because it is a massive game. It's huge. And it just goes back to the old thing about Jota. We're not talking about anything brand new here, aren't we? Great player, in my mind, for when he's on the pitch, an elite number 9. I think he's absolutely brilliant. There's almost a beauty to the ugly stuff Diogo Jota does, no two ways about it. But he's never available. His availability is and always seems to be a question. So we are where we are of that. But you have to prepare for no Diogo Jota tomorrow. He was also asked Arne Slot about, the 4-point gap, how you feel about it, any nerves, from what it could have been. He said, no, I don't look at it that way. I don't even know or didn't even know who Arsenal were playing, and they were playing later the same day as us. I only look at the opponents we face. Brentford was my first Premier League game of the season, I think. And I thought, this is more difficult than the Eredivisie. They had a 2-2 now against City, which was a great game. Both teams creating a lot of chances. And their manager has done a fantastic job for a number of years. That's my only focus, not when Arsenal play or when Chelsea play. Honest. Believe him completely. Probably a bit different for us because naturally a title race, you're at the stage where you are just keeping an eye on other teams' scores. Normally it's, for the last few years, been City, hasn't it? But obviously that's not too relevant anymore in this one. So whilst the players, well, actually I think the players will look, if we're deadly honest, but Arne Slot saying he won't. The question then came up about Darwin Núñez. It seems to be coming up weekly, and it probably will never go away until he starts scoring goals away. That he's available, but he's seems short of confidence. He brings so many attributes, but he's not scoring goals at the moment. So what did Arne Slot say to this one? He said, that's your perception, but not my perception that he's struggling with self-confidence. He was involved in Accrington Stanley, that goal. He's involved in a goal against Fulham where Jota scored. Plus, he scored against Southampton. For me, it's the life of the striker sometimes, but doesn't always start every single game either. For me as a team, it's more important to be able to score every game. Apart from that Tottenham game, I think that's the only game where we didn't score. It tells me we have so many goals in our team, and Darwin will score his goals for the team like he did already. But I don't see him struggling as much as you see it, and he's involved in goals in the last few games. For this Nunes question, there was nothing real else that Arne Slot could say. He has to back his man, doesn't he, in that regard? He wants to give Darwin Nunes as much confidence in public. And quite rightly, he's defended him in public. And I'm not going to say he's clutching, but I understand what you're going to say. Let's be honest. The Accrington game, it's a good assist for Jota. It's nicely rolled across. However, we're all going to remember the shot, aren't we? And that blazed half volley over the bar. No two ways about it. Fulham, yes, he does get the assist for Diogo Jota, but let's be honest, it's Diogo Jota's twist, turn inside, and then giving Leno the eyes and burying it across him. That's what makes it. So 2 goals for that. I don't think it's convincing anyone. And even that Southampton one where it kind of deflected the Trent pass in the quarterfinal, it's just not, there's nothing convincing about Darwin Nunes. This is not having a go at him particularly or on Slot. He is right to defend his player, but at the same time, you see him what you see him with your eyes. Darwin Nunes is short of confidence. The journalist was right on that. Darwin Nunes, let's be honest, just looks devoid of any confidence. You wouldn't bet any pennies on him scoring. And please, as I'm saying this, I am desperate for him to ram it back down my throat and smash one in against Brentford and make me look really stupid here. No problem with that at all. Am I confident that will happen? No. Am I hopeful? Yes. But I got zero confidence in it. So we'll see what happens with Darwin Nunes. And the next question he was asked was about all the forwards, about you've got a multitude like Cody, you've got Luis Diaz, and we knew where he was going with this, sort of in the false now hoarding these players to try and get them in. What did he say in this one? He said, I do agree with your perception that Cody Gakpo is in a very good place. So sometimes we agree. Lucho has done really well as a 9, and West Ham just before the winter break, that was the performance of us as a team. But from him as a 9, also very good. Afterwards, he played there in 3 more games, I think. United, Tottenham, and the last one against Forest. And in all games, we've created many chances as a team, and that's the most important thing. I'm happy with how he does there if he plays as a left winger, and I'm happy now with how he plays as a 9. It's the same like Darwin. Diaz has scored many goals already as a 9, and he scored many goals as an 11 as well. And sometimes it's the right winger, Mo, who scores. Mo, you haven't talked about him yet. In the last 3 games, he only scored a penalty. So we can talking about every single player of ours if you want, about the goals they score. But in general, we score a lot of goals and we create a lot of chances. That's the most important thing. Again, well answered. Exactly as I'd expect from Arne Slot, defending his troops, the forwards across the board. However, for me personally, I think it's now time to end this Diaz experiment as a false 9. It's just not working, especially against Forest that block night. I mean, him and treaded on each other's toes at times there, weren't they? It was ineffective against Spurs. United, it didn't really work either at all, did it, in that regard? So I would now abandon this, personally. And especially against a low block, I don't know that's what Brentford will definitely set up with, but I think there's a worry that they'll be looking at that Forest result thinking, I'll tell you what, if we can get Liverpool to start with Diaz, which is a possibility now, and we'll talk about it up, it'll suit us well. And yeah, Helio Matthias there, not really cheering me up, but very fair. Nunes hasn't scored in the Premier League since November the 9th, that Aston Villa where Mo was taken out. He goes round as a finish. And at that time, we thought, is he back in form? Christ, that seems a million years ago, doesn't he? And as he also says there, 7 league appearances without a goal. The only one coming in the last 2 months. Well, but it's completely correct information. Now, this is a player to talk about because he got mentioned and asked about Jayden Danns. Helio saying that he should better be on the bench. He was asked about Jayden Danns and his future. He said, I think you take a lot of things into account if you want to loan out a player, and this could be one of them, as in the situation, but there are also other factors you take into account. Is it good for a player to get some playing time, yes or no? Do we still need him with what's happened with Diogo? We do already have 3 options for the number 9 position, and it's not now that we expect Jota to be out for a long period of time. So it will be a struggle for us to have him on the pitch maybe on Saturday, tomorrow, but we are hoping to see him on the pitch in the near future again. As I said, we've got 3 options, but Jayden did really well when he came in. So we have actually 4 options, you could say then, and it's up to us as a club to make the best possible decision for the near future, but also for the long-term future of the club. I like Jayden Danns, just to be clear. Whatever it is, that X factor, whatever you want to call it, he's got it. He knows where the goal is. Yes, the sample size is minuscule. It's the FA Cup pretty much, isn't it? A Carabao Cup final. That's incredible to say, isn't it, already? I mean, it's a great finish against Accrington Stanley. There's a couple of great finishes against Southampton last year. There's just something about this kid, his frame, the confidence, the swagger. Most importantly, the most difficult thing in football is to stick the ball in the back of the net. And he knows exactly how to do that. There is an X factor. I would like to think he's in some way tomorrow. I really would. I say that genuinely, and I'll come to my lineup. Long term, I get the feeling that was on a slot, and people interpret this in a different way. I think you're going to see him go on loan before the end of the January window. But Brentford tomorrow, he is in the run. And Ilias saying there, yes, start Danns against him. He's a finisher. And he is a natural talent. There is a swagger, a confidence about him. Whatever it is, you describe it how you want, he's got it. There is a clip I want to play you from the conference because a lot of people have mentioned our goals we're conceding at the moment. We do seem to be leaking a few. You can't pretend any different at all, can you? I think 2 clean sheets in the last 9. I saw it referenced as earlier. So let's see what Arne said when asked about the clean sheets and the goals we're conceding currently.
Hi, Arne. You've kept 1 clean sheet in the last 7 league games. How much of a concern is that?
We haven't.
You have. Yeah, you've kept 1 clean sheet.
Yeah, not as much as we did before. I wouldn't say it's a concern, but it's also not what we want because it was one of our strengths also in the beginning of the season that we kept a lot of clean sheets. But it's every time the same what I'm saying now. So we've talked about the strikers or the attackers sometimes having a bit of difficulties to score. I think if I look at the amount of chances we give away in the last 7 games, and I look at this how many chances we gave away in all the games before, I don't see many difference. The only difference is that the team we are facing at the moment. So Forest, for example, they had one serious shot on target, and that was a goal. Where that is not normal in football, and this has happened to us. United had maybe 3 good chances against us, scored 2. Tottenham had hardly any chance except for the one when Ellie lost the ball, and the 1 chance there in the end they scored. So that is like with strikers, sometimes a phase in the season where you hardly concede anything, but still they score. I've said already, Crystal Palace away, that we beat 1-0 10 minutes before the end. They went on a 1v1 against Leeds, which was a bigger chance maybe than some goals we've conceded recently. So that is also, sometimes you're a bit lucky that and sometimes your goalkeeper makes a great save. But like the amount of chances we create, we hardly concede a chance, and that has been the same for the whole season. But when it comes to collecting points, I also see a bit of a difference at the moment compared to.
Yeah, I think we all see a difference in the points, don't we, at the moment? I think it's one win in the last 5. And listen, context is key on everything. It's interesting what he says. And when you look at it as a pure stat, we aren't conceding that many chances we were earlier in the season when the clean sheets were just racking up. This is not a good time, though, to be shipping goals as we are. Let's be completely honest about that. And yeah, he's right in what he says. I mean, it's pretty much that one chance Forest have, but it's a soft goal. It's a bad giveaway. It's people not moving across or not getting into position. We are seeing that repeatedly, aren't we? The Forest goal. Those United ones, they were soft. It's important to say that. Now, however you phrase it, and you know, you might want intensity from different people, but I think like the Alisson question's coming up. I mean, God bless Ali, the world's best goalkeeper for me. Is he in great form at the moment? I don't believe so. I think you saw the stats the other night. I think it's 9 goals from 15 big chances. The ratio isn't good of what he's preventing. Sorry. So there's that. I think Grab's starting to look a little bit tired there, not offering the protection he was earlier in the season. People will have their opinions on that. Robbo, yeah, we'll talk about him a bit later. And Konate as well, ultimately. Ibu's come back. He looks a shadow of him for myself at the moment, doesn't it? Just on the basis of, I don't believe Ibu is fully fit. I think that's quite obvious when we watch it, and that's having a knock-on effect because, let's be honest, in this season, at the start, how many times did Ibu and Pete Virgil, when those two were at the top of their game, just bail us out? When Trent was out of position or did something silly, when Robbo made a mistake, they kind of, not did paper over the cracks, that's too strong, but they were key to that clean sheet, weren't they? So there's a lot of players in that area could do a little bit better. That doesn't matter because, listen, we're not 12 years old when we have this analysis. It's not good or shit. That's not the way it should work. But I think there's a few that could improve. And I'm not going to sort of, when I say improve, Ibu, we just have to work his way through it. Doesn't need to fitness that way as well. And maybe Slot's got a point. Luck comes involved, doesn't it? Sometimes you're just a bit lucky or not, as the case may be. But yeah, that was the Arne Slot press conference. Those are the answers he gave. So we look back to the other night, Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? Yeah, it was country the day against Forest. 1-1, 80,000 shots on goal. I mean, especially in that last period, as me and Bart's did when on Stat Me Up. Double figures for shots, chances, Jota, Salah, whether it's Sells becoming prime length, Yashin, or, you know, Arne off the line. It's just what we're cursed. It almost seems that balls wouldn't go in the net. So, but we're talking about lessons here as well. I mean, you could say be more clinical. That's an obvious one. We gave away a soft goal. And there's no wiggle room, it seems, at the moment. If we give away a soft goal, we get punished. So here's an idea. Don't give away soft goals. Be focused from the first minute. Because the other bit of the real lessons at the moment is Liverpool seem to be losing for me a lot of the first half. At times, I almost sense they're giving it up almost to suss out the opponent in a way. But yeah, we've got to be on it from the off. Couple of other lessons, I'd say. I think some players coming back into the team is pretty straightforward. Me and Bart's did Robbo on Stat Me Up. His stats and the eye test, you saw it. God bless Andy Robertson. Liverpool legend. Absolute, you know, a hero to many in my area and all those types of things. But the legs are fading and he just looks desperately short of confidence, I would say, more than anything. So, up earlier here, but Tsimikas has to come in. He's the best left-back option available at the moment. Don't start with your transfer window stuff. We all want a left-back. I completely get it, but it's got to be Tsimikas. And yes, Red for Life, highly erotic would be a clean sheet at the moment. No two ways about it. So that's the left-back situation. Obviously, it would have been Jota coming back in at the same time as well. And I know a few saying there about that goal should have been saved. Yeah, Slot should trust his squad players more. I think there's a lot of preventable goals going in. People talking, you see in the chat here as well. KP there. Dan's is getting a shout. Introvert audio. It would have been, if we hadn't have got the news at the start, my other lesson would have been easy and said, Diogo Jota got to start against these, no question. Burn the face off of anyone who disagrees different because they're talking absolute nonsense. However, he ain't, isn't he? Let's be honest. Barring a miracle, a Diogo Jota niggle tends to last 3 or 4 months, doesn't it? So let's just pray it's not too bad. And the other lesson, and it's going back to what Arne Slot said about this game. Sometimes, as Napoleon said, don't give me a good general, give me a lucky one. The luck is out for us at the moment in terms of if we give up a soft goal and we're giving them up, it counts against us. We can't always just expect us to keep rescuing it time and time again. So as I said before, here's an idea. Switch on from the off and stop giving up soft goals. It's not the hardest thing. We've said so many times, and almost like it's on repeat, record, repeat here. Stop giving away the first half. Stop giving away soft goals. We are paying for it, and it's a team responsibility. Some players figure heavily or more heavily than others, I would say. Yeah, we'll see. Brentford Threats, as we talk about as ever, they are an interesting team, Brentford. Jonah Farrell there saying I could see us scoring a few tomorrow. The way Brentford play would really suit us. I mean, when you look at the league table, they are different. Remember, Forest have conceded 19. Brentford, where am I? Looking at Bournemouth, you clown. There we go, Brentford, 37. So pretty much double what Forest have shipped. Scored 40, so scored a lot more. Actually, kind of nearly-ish double. So they're a proper mid-table team. I mean, that's mad, isn't it? 40 scored, 37 conceded in 21. So quite often you see in your teams in like 3-2s, 2-2s, that type of thing if you're a Brentford fan. So maybe you see that as exciting because Brentford were quite down near the bottom last season. They carry goal threats as well. We are talking about goal threats. Look at these two, Wissa and Mbeumo. Direct, pace, aggressive, and they carry an aerial threat at the same time. There's no two ways about it. I mean, 24 goals between them in the Premier League. So out of their 40, these two have contributed more than half. These are a force at home. If everyone says that's about, for God's sake, they're 10th. They're the third best home record in the Premier League behind us and Arsenal. Okay? Yes, they've had a bit of a run earlier in the season, didn't they, where you almost seem to score in the first 12 seconds or whatever it was type of thing. But this will not be an easy game at all. And they're really weird. I mean, they lost to Forest at home, so people will flag that. And they've lost to Arsenal at home. And they've drawn against City. But even in that City game, because you're going to look and say, well, last 3 days, shut up. Look at their home record. They came from 2 down and they got a last-minute equaliser in that one. There's just a lot of banana skin potential in this one, in that regard. A Liverpool 12th man's put there, said, isn't the philosophy of control and growing into the game, hit them from the start, instead of, I read that wrong, Klopp's hit them with high intensity. Maybe you pick me up on that wrong, 12th man. I'm not saying like we go hard from that. I'm just saying you switch on. It's more about we're giving away soft goals, especially in the intensity where I was talking about the defending. You see that one from Chris Wood. People are out of position, people not moving across. There was even a chance for Trent to probably block that ball as well. So when I'm talking about intensity, it's not about running around. It's not giving away soft goals. And quite often, yes, you want control, but we are giving it up in the first half. And there's evidence galore to that in all the games me and Bart's have talked through as well. Just maybe smarter, work smarter, not harder. Maybe that's the phrase for you there. So they are threats. They are banana skin potentials. Line up, score and scorers. still swithering over this forward line. Some things pick themselves. I mean, it's Ali, Trent, VVD, Canate, and it's got to be Tsimikas at left back. For me, it has to be. You look at the stats, everything we're seeing with the eye test, you have to put him in the team tomorrow. In midfield, they weren't great and they covered a lot of ground. Grav, Max, Szoboszlai, I wouldn't change that midfield personally at all. Szoboszlai, he's had a lot of a break. He came back. He wasn't great. I didn't think Grav was particularly great. I didn't think Matt was bad, but not. They were just kind of meh, the midfield. But you go with your strongest here. Listen, it's about the forward line, isn't it that way? Salah's on the right. It's who are your two other positions? I think you have to keep Gakpo in. I just think Luis Diaz looks a little bit short of confidence himself at the moment. And it's difficult as people will jump on this because he has been playing in that nines. People will say he's not been given time. But based on his record recently and everything, I would keep Gakpo in. Also, Gakpo does offer you more defensively. Diaz is a better carrier of the ball, but Gakpo can support Tsimikas that way as well. So Gakpo for me. In the middle, obviously, we're all praying for a miracle that Diogo Jota's niggle isn't anything bad. This seems wild. And to me, it shows just where I sit with Darwin Núñez at the moment. I would love to see either two people there in the middle. Jadon Dan's, obviously. I wouldn't mind Chiesa there, you know. I know that won't be popular, but if you remember the earlier games of the season, Chiesa played a few in that sort of false nine role, if you want to call it that, in the middle. And with his pressing and everything, I do think he could be decent. And I know people will be shouting, saying, oh, you know, he's short of this and all that. He looks lively and looks a goal threat. From the minuscule sample size we have, I think he could be a real good option. So it is Dan's or Chiesa in the middle for me there. And Aberdeenio agrees. A few saying a good shout, Red for Life, Introvert Audio. So I got a bit of popularity back. I'll take that for the small few. However, this is where I probably shit on it completely. My gut is telling me, after his defence of Núñez in the press conference, he will start Darwin Núñez back there in the middle. LFC, mad saying that. I don't know if it's what he wants or what he thinks, but yeah, I think that will honestly be it at the top. It'll be Gakpo, Núñez, Salah. Predict score and scorer. We just have to win this. You have to win it. There's no exception. You know, we can't keep talking about must-win games and it doesn't happen and we say, oh, there was good positives all the time. And before anyone starts, I've seen people say this, saying the form's not great, and others like, we're not 12 people jumping on and saying, oh, you're pissing your pants and all this. Use your brains. We're not in the best of form right now. There's not horrendous things wrong, but we're giving up soft goals. We've just got to win tomorrow. 2-1, I am going. I think there'll be some ugliness to this game, and we'll have to sort of ride it a bit. Interesting. Few people going 2-0 there. LFC mad, Gakpo and Núñez. And there's a lot of defence of Darwin Núñez in the chat panel as well, saying, you know, you're going to kill his confidence. You need to give him that backing. Can it get any worse? It's like the Mick McCarthy meme, I'm afraid, when he goes, it can't get any worse. It can. That's where we sit with this currently, I'm afraid. So, yeah, 3-1 for Aberdeenio. I can't get past 2-1. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. I believe there's going to be ugly moments to ride it, but Mo Salah to carry us home. That is what I'm going. Just to be clear, massive defence of Darwin Núñez at the moment. Like, he's devoid of confidence. I think you've seen that. He scored 4 goals, I think it is, all season. You can only work on the analysis and be factual. We've got to be mature with this. However, let me also be crystal clear. I am desperate for Darwin Núñez to smash these words back down my throat and knock out my teeth. I would love nothing more than Darwin Núñez, if he starts, to bag and bag early. I think that will be massive for everyone. But in simple terms, people, Brentford away, you just have to win. Don't sell it. Arsenal are playing at the same time, aren't they? They've got Villa at home. So who knows what can happen? You just have to win this one. Fingers crossed, eh? Jonah there saying 3-0, Liverpool and Villa double. That is the dream, isn't it? No two ways about it. But just win series naturally, and we'll see what develops elsewhere. But there we are, ladies and gents. Sorry, you're correct there. I've seen Mad Arsenal playing at 5:30, aren't they? So yeah, at least we can put some pressure on them. That's actually better. Thank you for correcting me on that one. That'll be decent. A must win, less than 24 hours. However, for me, Dave Davis, from Anfield Index, that was another post-conference presser.